Hello, friends, and welcome to Binge O'Clock, the podcast where we watch something and then we talk about it. I'm Joy Selden, and I've seen almost everything.
I'm Tinyanga, and I've seen almost nothing.
I'm Nella, and the problem sometimes with talk to text is that if you accidentally have the German keyboard on, it tries to translate your English into German, and then you end up with notes that are like, Wie werde lacht, and Quest wischt ist die Radio, which isn't even correct because radio should be das Radio, not die Radio. Like, that's not right. Like, what's going... Anyway, yeah, so I this is just a reminder that I should probably get back to Duolingo, but anyway.
Oh, that little owl makes you feel so guilty.
He comes
I
for
love
me.
that owl. I love that owl. But I'm also really good at ignoring people who want me to do things, like people who want me to diet, or like people who think I should like get sleep, or people who, I don't know, like I'm really good at ignoring people who like want me to do something that would be good for me.
This is a skill I have honed.
I have honed since my childhood, a childhood full of adults telling me what to do because they think it would be good for me, and me just ignoring it.
But we're not here to talk about...
Poor little Duolingo owl.
We're not here to talk about Nella's Duolingo lapse. We're here to talk about Fringe Season 5, Episodes 7 through 9, where just so much happens. But you know what? We get character development in these three. I feel like we finally hit the character development midway through the 5th season, which isn't even a full season. We did it.
Better late than never, though, right?
I mean, sure, I guess. I mean, if you call character development Murder Peter.
Murder Peter.
Stepping back from being Murder Peter.
Olivia uses the power of heart successfully yet again. You know, some good stuff. Some good stuff.
She rolls rapport.
Walter is extraordinarily bratty towards Nina and then tries to apologize.
I know. This was also, I mean, I know we're getting into kind of like, you know, well, no, actually, that was episode 7, wasn't it?
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah.
7 into 8, basically.
So episode 7 to 8, and I feel like we're going to be jumping around a lot in this episode because a lot of 7 and 8 in my brain happen as like a 1 and 2 parter because Murder Peter has its culmination very quickly. And it's just, it's a very specific kind of story they're telling between 7 and 8. And it's hard for me to, you know, just keep them separate in my brain. But yeah, no, let's talk about that Walter Nina moment, because my brain nowadays was like, actually, I like the first thing you said to Nina. I think it was, you know, I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, is it really love if someone can't make room for you? You know?
Right.
Like, it's not the kind of love you need.
As a reminder for the listener, what's going on here is that Walter's central conflict in these episodes is that he's worried about becoming his other self.
Which
his
I'm
evil
so
other Walternate.
Tired of. I am so tired of.
We all are,
like,
Nella.
We are human beings, and we are capable of greater goddamn change that doesn't involve having to have our brains operated on, or that will suddenly become different people if you put our brain bits back in. Like, we are the culmination of years of experience of pain and toil, and of happiness and joy and tears, and don't come to me show and tell me because we put 3 little bits of brain back in a Walter Bishop that, oh no, he'll become a monster again. Eat a dick.
Yeah, and it's annoying because the show keeps on going back to this conflict. Like, they literally gave us a unnecessary 7-minute montage at the end of episode 9 to just remind us about how significant of a conflict this is. But actually, Nella, I think that every character on the show would agree with you, except for Walter. Like, Walter seems to be the only one who thinks that 3 bits put in his brain, Walter and the writers of the show, seem to be the only ones who think that 3 bits in your brain equal your personality goes back. But everyone else in the show is like, no, man.
I mean,
you're
Walter,
going to be fine.
Were you raised by, like Puritans who are like, no, once God has determined what you'll be in your life, there's no free will for you. You will either go to heaven or not?
White Tulip is like a defining character moment for him.
I know, but no Puritan would be there for White Tulip. They'd be like, what Dutch swear jar is this?
So he's got a little eclectic mix of I don't know, ideologies in there.
I don't know, like Walter's, I mean, look, I think I'd be okay with Walter's character beat of just like an obsession with predestination a little bit more if it wasn't about like his brain. And if it was a little bit more like dealing with the, in every alternate universe, I've been a dick. What do I do with that?
What happens when the common denominator is me?
Yeah. And like at some point,
am I the villain?
I feel like this is just such like a weird like schlocky take on nature versus nurture.
Yeah. Well, we've also seen how badly this show handles that. Like the show doesn't. The show doesn't look. It's an interesting argument and an interesting debate to have, but for the most part, this show doesn't do very well with actually making the argument. Like,
I know.
Because I think it tries to lean on science too heavily in this. Well, science with giant quotation marks.
Quotes on science.
The pseudoist of science. But like, because that's also not how brains work. And I'm pretty sure this Walter didn't even have pieces put back in. It was just like liquefied brain that he like drank or something. I don't even remember.
It was like the monkey juice that made him aggressive, like, in season 1.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, but I don't know. Yes, and how obsessed can you really be with predestination when you literally know for a fact that timelines can be changed, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like when you literally know for a fact that different versions of yourself exist based on almost nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, anyway.
You're the same person whether or not Andrew Jackson was president, so I don't know what to tell you, bub.
Seriously.
And sometimes everything is the same and you still end up with two very different people looking at the Lincolns.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just roll the dice and you get what you're dealt. Which maybe is a mixed metaphor, but I don't care. Now.
I like it. I'm into it.
Walter's grappling with this entire situation, and Nina, I'm just going back to what you were saying, Joy, about this moment between Nina and Walter, but she's basically insisting that she tried to hold on to William Bell, right? Using her love for him and his love for her, and that even that love between them wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
He still eventually abandoned her in his pursuit of power. Right? In his pursuit to be a god. At which point, Walter responds by saying that William never loved her and he never loved anyone but himself. And Nina thinks that that was really cruel.
I mean, to be fair, it is. I don't want anybody to get any mixed messages. It is an extremely cruel statement. That's not. I'm not saying it's not cruel. What I don't like about it is he changes it later by, they basically create a fringe event and, open up this William Bell safe because it all comes down to William frickin' Bell. And he can save us all, even though he was a megalomaniac who tried to create his own universe by splicing two universes together. Whatever, it's fine. They open up William Bell's safe, and in the safe is a picture of Nina. And which, in my estimation of that, and I think Walter's not entirely wrong, and it's not that I disagree with his second take of just like, no, the two of you were in love, it just wasn't enough. But it's also like, I don't think he should have backpedaled entirely on his first take, because it's just,
well, because we have Nina saying I wasn't enough, and I just wanted to like reach through the screen and grab her and be like, girl, that sounds like a belly problem, not a you problem. Like, William Bell's inability to understand the importance of the people around him is not your fault.
Exactly.
And it's not your problem. And I'm sorry you wasted your whole life on William Swearjar Bell.
I know. And that, I feel like I wanted that to be the point. And instead, the point was more about William Bell, which I understand why, because the point is really about Walter. Like, it's, if anything, you would have to have the the comparison between Peter and Walter, as opposed, like Peter is to Walter as, well, quote unquote, as Nina was to William. Like they're both meant to be these anchoring people in each other's lives. But it's like, but that's not the point they're making. Like, I get it. I didn't like it. I didn't like either point.
No, I'm kind of with you on that because I agree. I think it was cruel, right? It hurt her feelings, but it was necessary. He had to say it because it's true. I think I'm of the opinion that real love is often a choice and not just a feeling, right? And it is so easy to take someone's picture and stick it in your safe and for that to be the way that you show you care about them. But that's caring and that's sentiment. That's not choosing to make a place for them in your life.
Is it?
So it's not
Exactly.
really.
No, it's
right?
that last part.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. Yeah.
And I agree with you. I am also in this opinion of like you choose to love who you love and you choose to continue to love who you love because love is not necessarily this easy thing that like, happens one day and then everything's hunky-dory for the rest of your life. Like, that's not what happens.
You have to work on it.
You have to work on it. And I mean that across all relationships, like family, friends, partners, all these different things. It's annoying to me that she had so much stock in this relationship. And yes, they had a relationship because God bless my little black dress. But like they had a relationship, but it wasn't enough for him to keep her center stage. He had to keep her in this safe. And like on the one hand, it's like protecting himself in the most bizarre way because it's like, or you are one of the most powerful men in the world, you could literally just love this other woman. Like, you don't even have the problems that normal couples would have about like, I don't know, maybe we should, like, how do we split the bills? Like, is there enough money to start a family? Like, you don't even have any of that.
What are we going to watch on TV tonight?
It doesn't matter. No matter what, Nina will always be there. It doesn't matter how he treats her. It doesn't matter how he ignores her. Like, all he has to do is, like, take her to Italy the one time, and that she acts like that's enough. And maybe for Nina, that is enough. Or was it?
Or was it?
Obviously, it wasn't, because she's sitting
Obviously
there
not.
talking about how I wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And again, like, that's when you need a girlfriend or a gay friend to come over and be like, listen.
I know. Hey.
Listen, Nina.
Hey, girl, hey.
You bring your softest blanket and whatever beverage they like.
Lucius from
like,
Our
hey.
Flag Means Death rises from the waves and goes, listen.
We need a pint of ice cream and a Friends marathon. No, I'm kidding. No, it is.
I'm fantastic at breakups.
I'm fantastic at breakups. It was very, it felt cheap. It felt cheap that there was this kind of comparison. And I get that there's no other character in the show really as larger than life than William Bell and Walter Bishop. Like, they're two sides of the same coin. They have all these crazy theories, and some of them actually work. It's this bizarre comparison that you can't help but make. But at the same time, I was like, this isn't where I want it. Like, I don't want it in season 5, especially after the end of season 4, where we had William Bell who wanted to destroy 2 universes to create his own, whereas animals wouldn't even survive. Like, that? You want to compare yourself to that? And
not
like
any other character in the show who's making a sacrifice for someone they love.
Yeah,
because
this
so
Walter,
many other people do it.
This Walter never even got to meet the William Bell that sacrificed himself so that they could get back to their own reality. Like, he didn't even know he existed. Like,
I know.
And it burns inside, but it's fine.
All he has is the William Bell who, again, with the 2 universes, and the William Bell who betrayed them to gain favor with the observers. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Seriously, this dude.
Why do you care about this person?
This dude does not
person
deserve.
Who stole your David Bowie record? Like, come on, man.
I do think that that's kind of a weakness of the show, in that, in a way, like, they know we have been watching all this time, and in our head we have more than one William Bell in our head. But these characters shouldn't. These characters should have a very specific William Bell, and it just does not jive.
It doesn't hold up. It just doesn't. And I again, it's the same kind of thing of like, I didn't want William Bell to go out on this note. Like, I didn't want him to go out the way he did in season 4. I didn't want him to go out this way either, being like a collaborator or whatever.
Right. And in kind of a throwaway line, too. It was strange the way they put it in there with Astrid just for some reason remembering everything that had happened and then Walter recounting it.
This is why Astrid's there. Again, justifying her existence.
It wasn't even narratively relevant why he was there. So he was in the lab. Who cares?
Yeah.
It was such an extra, it was, whatever. We've talked about it enough.
Well, so episode 7, I think the Walter of episode 7 is that, right?
Yes.
Culminating in that moment with Nina. But the other half of episode 7 is Murder Peter.
Murder Peter.
Who we should just talk quickly about, because we can't get into episode 8 without talking about Murder Peter.
So Murder Peter's plans is that, like, with the true confidence of a mediocre white man, he decides that having just gotten his hands on the Observer's tech, he can master it more so than people whom have had it for far, far, far longer than he can even comprehend.
Multiple people who have it.
And in doing so, he can manipulate the forces of the universe and time and of
matter,
their own, you know, the where they go and their schedules and all that to facilitate some murder. And
I kind of enjoy that we get a bit of a canonical Peter murder wall again.
Here's the thing, though, Bubba. You're starting with Windmark's, you know, seconds and commands. You're leaving your murder wall in very obvious places for people to find. And then you kind of do the thing where you lure Windmark to your murder wall and you kind of taunt them with the "you are here right now."
You are here. That was so great.
And I'm just like a serial killer Ted Bundy type. Like, you're taunting the person you're trying to kill, and now they're on to you. And do you really think Windmark is so stupid as to not then know what you're up to and then able to then counteract it in their own way, manipulating you in turn?
It's like you flew him into your like he caught you monologuing. Like
he caught he absolutely caught Peter monologuing, and like, that's infuriating.
It's infuriating also, just like the pragmatic person in me who's like, dude, you have the face melting toxin, right? You use the face melting toxin on 2 of the lieutenants. So like, maybe just use the face melting toxin in Etta's apartment.
Look,
it would have all been over right there.
I know, right? Why didn't you just use the face? Look, are you worried about... I know you weren't, but I'm going to assume you were worried about ventilation harming the other people in the building, even though I know that's not at all what was happening.
Absolutely not.
But this is the fic I am writing for you, Peter, to justify why you didn't, instead of just like wiping your boards clean so when Mark doesn't know you're on to him.
Now, I did enjoy some of the more trolly bits. Like, listen, I agree with you. I think the "you are here right now" was dumb. He definitely should have used the face-melting toxin right there.
It was so stupid.
I did really enjoy the moment, a couple little trolly moments, like when he makes the coffee spill or the tea spill onto Widmark's shoes. And I'm like, yes.
I mean,
this is the way to annoy that man.
I mean, look, I am 100% here for Peter, and I don't think that's what Peter was doing, but I do, like, if Peter was just trying to test out his understanding of this ability and seeing how well he could actually manipulate an observer, that's why he's practicing on the peons instead of going for Windmark immediately. I could believe that. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, no, that's 100% what he was doing, except even in his tests.
At the beginning of the episode.
Even in his tests, there were things that weren't correct, and he just, like, barreled on through. And I'm like, no.
And then, he was just like, good enough for government work, I guess. And it's just like, your father would probably agree with you because he's not a very good scientist. He's just brilliant. But like a regular, normal scientist would be like, wait.
would not handle this well. He would be like, where's your data?
You know who else would not agree with all this? Broyles.
No,
This
Broyles,
is why we need Broyles.
Yeah.
Broyles would have been like, hold up. Take me through it again. Explain it to me again. This detail doesn't make sense.
Broyles would have been like, listen up, we've got
Get
one
my
shot.
agent out of there. When you get him in the apartment, use the face melting toxin.
Seriously. Because they obviously don't track the previous Fringe team events as much as they think they do. So this...
No, because the surveillance state is constantly on coffee break.
Well, well, yes. Okay. Also that, but my headcanon is that they're very bad at seeing the, it goes back to you all are just ants, in an anthill. Like they don't track as far back as they probably can if they really thought about it. But they can only do what they've seen. And so it's like, if they have it like, nobody saw the freaking, congratulations, you have no more orifices thing. Like, no one saw that one coming, because then they definitely would have, like, avoided it, right? And you would think that they would start to piece together, like, what that was, but no.
Yes, they're ants, but if ants, like, turned out to be termites that undermined your entire house, I personally think you might end up a little more proactive about maybe we have to address the ant problem, which turned out to be termites.
But they kind of miss the trees for the forest?
Because again, like because, this is a video game and we haven't triggered the cutscenes yet. And, we're still at the save points and we're not ready for the big boss yet. And that's why we have that fight scene between Peter and Winmark.
Yeah.
Where Peter doesn't die because, and I know it's because Winmark underestimates the power of the angry dad.
Yeah. No, that's 100% what that was, by the way. We were watching that part of the episode and I was just like, Winmark has underestimated the power of angry father.
Which, yes, is the oldest mistake in the book. But then also, this isn't the final boss fight yet. This is just the cutscene that then, our hero escapes from, and then they go back and they have, the dialogue trees with the other characters before we rev up for the next, and then the next fetch quest in preparation for the final boss fight. I've been playing and watching a lot of Forbidden West, Horizon Zero Dawn. There's so many cutscenes and dialogue trees and fetch quests.
Sure.
Or, name any other RPG style game, right? Witcher, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, all of the above. All ones I've played.
Anyway, going back to Peter though, so there's a scene where Liv confronts him in their daughter's apartment. And she sees the murder wall and she puts it together. He's got the tech in his head. He's this isn't good. And then she has this line of, I keep telling myself we're stronger this time. And I was like, are you? Because you both have been through a lot in very rapid succession. You've jumped to the future. You found your daughter. You lost your daughter. There's a part of me that feels like this Liv is so desperate to hold on to what she knew she has, that in a way she's actually kind of bad at recognizing how different and challenging the situation is.
That's what I was going to say. I think that she keeps telling herself that because she has to keep telling herself that.
Yeah.
Because Liv is a woman of action. In order to move forward, she has to find some lie to tell herself. And the lie she tells herself is we're stronger this time because we have to be. Because there is no other, we have to be. There's no other choice. And
that's a good point. I do think it comes out of, I think that line in particular comes out of desperation.
Now, that actually takes us pretty nicely into episode 8, right? Because as soon as Liv catches Peter in the apartment, Peter's losing his hair, by the way.
It was such a weird little throwaway thing. And I was like, Peter's not going to go bald in 2 hours. Calm down. It was... It was such a weird...
But Joy, Walter is losing himself. Peter is losing himself. Oh, what a great montage. Then we go into episode 8. And again, Olivia's woman of action. I love that the first thing she does is she finds Anil. she gets a piece of observer tech and she hands it off to Walter. Because she's like, you are going to figure this out. We are not going to convince Peter. We're going to have to figure this out ourselves.
Yeah. No, I love
she
that
just dips.
She tells the team immediately and then she dips.
And then she dips. She's like, there's this random fetch quest. I need a giant magnet. I'm antsy. I have nothing else to do, but I have to do something, so I'm going to go get this magnet.
Yeah, I'm going to go get this giant magnet from not David Grohl. And
it's true. It was almost like clockwork. Almost all of us watching it went, is that David Grohl?
It was not, though.
What? And then we got a little closer. Oh, no. Okay, no.
No.
But no. Okay.
And then also we see this Olivia on this fetch quest who is just so antsy and distrustful, like really, really does not trust the situation. And it does feel ominous. We're watching it and it feels like we feel like, oh no, what if they betray her? Because it's really set up that way, and they don't. Like these are people who have held the line and held the faith for 21 years, and Liv is just struggling right now because Walter's being Walter. Peter has observer tech in his head, and he's murder walling left and right. And here I am, just trying to get a magnet done.
All we have a plan. We're going to stick to the plan because that is all we can do.
Yep.
Poor Olivia.
I know. And then poor Olivia gets caught by highwaymen. She fell for the oldest trick in the book. The dummy is a dead body in the middle of the road.
Granted, I don't think that she could have actually driven the truck around that situation. Like, they were fully blocking off the road, the only road through a wooded area.
I'm pretty sure that truck, not plow into them, but I'm pretty sure if she had, she could have pushed the cars out of the way.
I also don't know how giant magnets work. It's just a giant magnet on the back of a truck.
Like you do.
Can
we just say, however, poor Olivia, captured by highwaymen, they call her in that they've captured her, but, they won't let the observers come to them. No, they have to meet them at a church of truth, which I can't even begin to understand why such a thing exists in this world.
How such a thing could exist.
Why is there this concession to the people who haven't, gone along with the observers? Where it's just okay, well, we have these things called churches of truth where we can't read you when we're in them. And I'm like, why would you even offer that?
Why?
What's the point of that?
Seriously. Who on earth does this, who is this serving, really? It sounds like it's really only serving the criminal element, which, again, why? Why would you want it? Why would you do this?
Why are you allowing the criminal element to fester? I guess because they're using the criminal element to capture fugitives, but they really shouldn't have to do that because they have all the technology in the world and can see the future.
I know.
They can see the future. They have all the technology in the world. They have all the files. They have face recognition equipment. They can track people everywhere. There's CCTV everywhere.
They truly just must be the absolutely most laziest of invaders who are just we could, actually
legitimately
nip this
dominate.
In the bud, but what if what if this was good enough?
What if instead of legitimately dominating, we just, poisoned the atmosphere, built some special bars just for us, built some special restaurants just for us, and then hope it all comes out in the wash?
See, I'm just
this is what you get.
Time, you can look into all of human time, and this is your plan. You have seen all of human time, the rise and falls of countless of empires, and you really think this is going to work for you?
This is the one. This is the winner.
I wish everyone could see.
Just get him in the just get him in the right. Get them in the right uniforms, everyone. Put up some posters. That always works.
if they fall in line with one Reich, then imagine what they'll do with two Reich. Anyway,
Anyway, now I did enjoy the way Liv is able to MacGyver herself out of that situation.
Yeah, it's just like
that was pretty fantastic.
Captain Kirk, eat your heart out. If you can make a cannon on a planet, try a hydraulic mother swear jar gun
while being captive and waiting to be, likely killed off the planet.
She's got
not only that,
one shot.
Not only does she manage to make a hydraulic steam, not even hydraulic, it's pressurized air gun.
Yes.
Right? And she uses the bullet from her daughter as her one shot. She headshots the guy.
Yeah, she does. Yeah,
amazing.
She does.
Iconic.
Headshots the guy, takes his gun, kills the other guy. Ugh, Liv. Listen, we don't love her trigger finger, but man, is it useful.
I mean, I love that she still manages to have this insane trigger finger when she doesn't even have a gun. She just made a gun. It's sort of impressive.
It's very impressive.
No, it is.
Terrible,
it's very impressive. Like the shot went off and Nella and I were just like, yeah,
And, yet again, this is as much as this isn't our Olivia, this is our Olivia because she didn't need saving. She saved herself. So she gets out, and what she does do is, again, saves Peter.
Because Peter is once again in distress. We can't lose Peter to himself.
Peter. Peter's running away again. She's losing him again. And so she gets him back. I did enjoy that moment. I thought it was fun. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, so Olivia gets to have a little bit of murder, as a treat. And then ends up coming back to Peter, manages to talk some emotion into his logical brain self because
the power of heart.
The power of heart. And, he's lying in wait to prove that Windmark, that he can manipulate Windmark, that Windmark will hit the mark that he has set up for him. And if that is so, then his path is correct and he can take out Windmark. Truly the confidence of a mediocre white man. But Liv intercedes and then he cuts the technology out of the back of his own skull because...
Yes.
That's a smart thing.
And she's gotta punch him in the emotional gut several times to get him there.
Yeah.
She reminds him about his love for Etta. She reminds him about her love for him. And then he gets his great little montage flashback of all the people he loves, which, by the way, I'm kind of annoyed that he didn't picture Astrid anywhere in there.
I know.
He pictures Etta. He pictures Olivia. He pictures Walter. No Astrid. Great, thanks.
I know.
And then cuts the tech out of the back of his head.
Yeah.
Who wrote the line about love being invulnerable to space and time? I don't know. Did I need it? No.
It's definitely some like C-tier Doctor Who nonsense, but
kind of is. Ooh, that's what that is. Ooh.
It really was. I felt it. It was oozing from the screen. Yeah. Our love for each other is invulnerable to space and time. Cuts it out of his head.
That is some like, oh, why is Moffat still running the show level stuff?
Mad with power. But no, I like that she has to continuously do that because it fits into what Walter learns about this device, which is basically it just makes your intellect, supersede everything else, and your emotional centers of your brain kind of go dark. And like,
oh my gosh, I don't know why, but that image of the brain getting extra wrinkly was very creepy to me. I was like, ooh.
Right? It looked almost like there was this additional armor on it. Like all of a sudden, it almost looked like calluses in brain tissue, where it's like your brain has now been scarred with all this additional intellect. You're welcome. And it's like, ooh, who would want this?
Yeah, right?
Ooh, it's extra ridgy. So many ridges. And also, part of it is so thick that it suppresses whatever part of your brain controls your emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
Blah, blah, blah. We don't care.
We don't care. I do. Before we move on from this episode, I do want to briefly talk about the woman that Olivia met. The episode kind of falls into the trope a little bit of like having the magical black woman. Just a little.
Yeah, Simone.
Yeah, Simone. I personally love Simone, but I'm also just like, we've had characters like that before, so I don't necessarily know if they were, paying it. Who was awake at the wheel for this one? But like, it's fine. But I just really loved. Okay, so there's a moment where Simone is talking about like her beliefs and like how she knows things and she sees things in people and she has this understanding as soon as she meets you, and she like knew Olivia was coming and she knew she'd lost a daughter, like she knew all these things. And Olivia is kind of like, no offense, but I've seen special people before. And like, you may think this is your faith, but this is like a thing that occurs in nature. Like she tries to kind of not tear it apart, but tries to sort of explain like, yeah, I'm special too. I get it. And Simone has,
or it's like just because you're special doesn't mean it means anything. Like sometimes in nature there's just an anomaly.
Yeah, and it felt very well, actually. Like, it felt a little bit like a white woman trying to explain a black woman's faith to her. And that's also why I love the smile that appears on Simone's face. Because, like, it happened and we had to pause it because I was like, this white woman, like, you will take this religion from my cold, dead hands, white lady, was all I could think of. So it was just like, it's here. It is right here in my face. You can believe whatever the heck you want and let me believe my beliefs.
Right. Exactly. Like Simone doesn't let it get to her in any way. She's just like, okay, that's fine.
Sure. And then inevitably, Olivia learns the lesson of like, maybe there is something special.
Like, oh yes. Emotions, feelings, and faith do matter. And they are what saved us.
It's just like, oh my God, live. It's not the time. I know you're grieving, but geez.
Yeah.
You're grieving and your world is falling apart, but still.
She had to take it out on someone, and she took it out on Simone.
She took it out on Simone.
Which I don't love, but tracks with what we know about Olivia. Because if Olivia, like, yeah, she kind of imposes her view of the world on everyone around her. That's kind of what she does.
She definitely does.
Yeah.
And in the past, it has come across more conversationally, I think, than this. But of course, the stakes, well, as we all know, there are no stakes in season 5. But the stakes for her personally, like, she's under so much stress that I think it was just like, please don't say that it's all worth something because, like, I just lost my daughter. Like, it makes sense and I understand it. But at the same time, I'm just like, don't be like this. Why you gotta be like that?
Don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
Why you gotta be a jerk? Okay, so that takes us to episode 9, Black Blotter. Because we had to have just one more episode where Walter goes on a trip.
We had to have a weird episode, including a Monty Python montage.
Oh my God, that Monty Python cartoon of Walter was our favorite thing ever. I was not expecting it. I couldn't believe my eyes, but I could rewatch that like 5 times easily.
That was pretty great.
It's one of my favorite Walter trips.
It truly was like a Monty Python hand reached into like the gut of my high school self and went, remember me?
Yes, it's so good.
It almost makes tripping look like fun. I'm like, oh, now this is why Walter does it.
Yeah, but it's this whole episode because, of course, Walter has had this major crisis. And he's decided to do what he always does, which is retreat into his drugs.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which he has, luckily, acid in the lab. And I guess acid doesn't go bad, unlike barbiturates. Although I guess if they were in the amber, they might have been preserved. So, like, they didn't decay.
There's research we could have done. I did not do it.
I mean, what am I, a scientist? I refuse to put more effort into researching science than the writers of this show did.
Oh,
just
burn.
goes against my principles.
Well,
Anyway.
It says proper storage, however, can preserve its vitality for several years. So I'm going to say amber is pretty proper storage.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd go with that.
For sure.
I'd go with that.
Yeah.
But yes, so he spends the whole episode tripping, and we get to, in pure Fringe fashion, we get to see the world through his eyes for this episode. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. Like, there's the surprise frog in an earlier
and I
shot.
think it made the episode more interesting Because if we weren't seeing this episode through Walter's eyes, this entire episode literally would have been the team has a point on a map and they go to it.
Yeah.
The end.
The end.
That is the whole episode.
It was, I enjoyed it. It was, like
Peter. Oh, you go.
Well, no, like I just enjoyed just so many little pieces of the episode. Like he is watching their conversation on TV, which is happening behind him. Like there's,
and then he turns around exactly,
and it's
not
it
actually on TV. It's right behind him.
The TV's not even on.
Astrid is his trip mom as usual.
Yes.
Just kind of getting him along, guiding him through those moments. I like that Peter, the Walter Whisperer, is back now that the tech is out of his head.
I love that he's haunted by the ghost of Carla Warren, who isn't even like the Dr. Carla Warren that we know, though. She's very much like a temptress bombshell, like of his brain, like trying to lure him into danger kind of thing, or I'm the bad version of you kind of nonsense.
Well, I kind of like that he essentially has a shoulder angel, shoulder devil, except that his shoulder devil is Dr. Carla Warren and his shoulder angel is Nina.
I know.
I'm like, Nina?
Love it.
It's very like
Nina?
Good Omens, where they've kind of done swapsies. Like the redheaded wears all black is the angel, and the blonde and white is the devil.
Because my brain is all just our flag means death. It's very much Steed's wife Mary, where it's just like he remembers it as that she was like awful and like condescending, but in reality he was the problem in the marriage. And I feel like that's Carla. Because Carla was the one who went to Nina and was like, he's doing a bad thing, and Nina was the one who showed up with Carla being like, I see you're doing a bad thing, Walter, and I guess we're just gonna have to deal with this.
I guess we're just dealing with this now, thanks.
No, I do find it very interesting that like in his LSD acid trip, Carla is cast as like the shoulder devil, even though from what we've seen of her in past episodes, like, yeah, she worked with him and therefore she was probably complicit in quite a bit of things, but like she did question him. She had two doctorates in astrophysics or whatever it was. Three.
I think it's not so much that. I think it's the juxtaposition of having, I mean, okay, I'm sure some of that's in there, but like Nina believing that there is a better Walter and Carla seeing the Walter that he was and insisting that he was doing bad things when the Walter he was like,
I agree.
I do whatever I want, whatever, you know.
And it gets someone killed because of it.
I think that she was so constantly checking his behavior and was so constantly, in his view, judging him that's how he's perceiving her, as this devil character, right? This character who can only see him as evil. Mm-hmm. But that's because that's what she had to do when they were together.
Also true.
Not together, but you know what I'm saying.
When they worked together before she died.
Yeah. When they worked together.
I still don't like. I almost wish we could have gone back and understood more of that, because it's such a throwaway, like the Carla storyline is such a weird throwaway thing that they try to bring back and they try to make sense, and it doesn't, like, it just doesn't click. Like there's stuff about it that doesn't work, and Carla, much like Astrid, just felt like something they just shoehorn in there whenever they need something to happen.
Yeah, I know. And like I think the kindest way we can think about it, or the way we can forgive the writers the most, is just by assuming that Walter is, what is the phrase for a narrator? An unreliable narrator.
Yes.
That we're only seeing we're only seeing Carla through Walter's eyes. And so we only get the version of Carla that Walter is able to see and able to understand through all of the science, through all of the drugs, through all of his own personal conflict, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna get a twisted version of her, and that's what this is.
Yeah,
I do love the idea of Nina being the angel, though.
Right?
So great.
Conniving, secret keeping Nina, which again is the same thing, because it's like when Peter first shows up at the beginning of season 4. You know, Nina and Walter are not exactly buddy-buddy. Like, they're kind of on the outs. And I just love that it's, like, had this, again, burgeoning friendship, you know, sort of take back some of what they lost.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's all very confusing because it's like when you watch a show like this, I think it's what you said before, where it's like we know that we have different versions in our heads and the characters in the show do not.
In this situation, though, I think that they allowed Walter to have this new version of Nina in his head, right?
Yeah.
Because the whole reason he was mad at her at the beginning of season 4 is because she stopped him from saving Peter. And then Peter comes back, he realizes that was the right thing to do, and that's why he sees Nina as an angelic character.
Right.
And he's forgotten all of the secrets. He's forgotten Hair Full of Secrets Nina, because Hair Full of Secrets Nina is not really who he dealt with.
Right. You're not wrong.
So they're kind of picking and choosing what the characters remember and what the characters don't remember.
Yeah, totally.
We forgot to mention the narratively relevant portion of that episode, which is that at the point on the map, they find the child observer.
Yes.
There he is.
He's been named Michael. This couple has been taking care of him for the last 20 some odd years. And he hasn't aged a day, and he doesn't speak. And like, he obviously is able to show affection. You know, like, I love that he's like a nonverbal character that, like, you know, not to call it too far back to, didn't we have like Almost Human where it was like, how dare he not be verbal? Like,
oh yeah, where all of the characters thought that some other character, totally.
Yeah, and it was like, you're nonverbal, therefore you must be a murderer. And it's like, no. Just know
It's not the way this works.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Oh, you know what that was? We also brought that up in our Halloween episode.
Oh, yes. Yes. It was literally like the Michael Myers, like, can we get him to say something?
We must get him to say something. And Joy and I were like,
but why though?
Why do we have to get him to say something?
Him to speak? He doesn't have to speak.
There are other ways to communicate. He's murdering everyone around him. Like, is that not relevant? Is that not relevant?
Is that not communication?
Does that not tell you anything about his character?
But yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, we do get to have this nonverbal character who seems very affectionate and comes across as like, you know, sort of inquisitive, but also very expressive and able to communicate in his own way. Like, obviously he's been with this couple for many, many years. They have aged, he has not, but like they've grown very attached to him. They treat him like a son. They're very protective of him. And like when they show up, they don't want to give him up. You know, like it's a very specific parental kind of love that he's been able to evoke in these people. And I love Michael.
No, you're right. And it was really nice. Really nice. He remembers Olivia. We get another nice moment where Olivia bribes the child with something sweet.
Yes.
Which means that by the end of this episode, with only 4 episodes left, we've pretty successfully tied up the Olivia and Peter of it all, right? Because Peter's pulled the tech out of his head. The two of them are kind of back together to the couple that they were before, kind of, right? Yeah. We obviously need to still take out the observers, but the final character conflict that's left is Walter, who is continuing to struggle with his other self. And hopefully they'll wrap that up ASAP.
Yeah, seriously.
Because, yeah.
It's tough to watch. I don't know, you know, listeners, it's like, I know it sounds like we're kind of ragging on that storyline, but it's like, it's a tough storyline to watch when it's like your big solution in the show about pseudoscience is like, but what if I have a lobotomy and that might fix it? That's not, it's not how this works.
Hopefully they just let it go soon. You know?
But yeah, I know
because I think that there are more interesting storylines for them for this show to pursue.
We do have 4 more episodes left, and we could maybe discuss this off air. I can't decide if I want to do those all in one final episode or if I want to do like 2 and 2. TBD.
You would know better than look, I'm fine for a final push.
We're not deciding that here and now.
No, we're not.
Okay.
We'll decide that off air.
Instead, what we are deciding here and now is what are our one more things.
So
that was a brilliant segue. Good job, Danielle.
I just need to go back to the Monty Python thing because I need the context of it was during that episode I made the mistake of getting distracted and trying to fix my PlayStation 4 So because like the canned air finally came in and like there was a disc stuck in it that we could not get out no matter how hard we tried.
It's so
and
true.
I was just like, no,
we were like,
we're gonna do it. I'm gonna fix it.
We were turning that screw and it was like, nothing's moving. Nothing's moving. I don't know what's going on.
Can I just say it is much easier to pop a disc out of an Xbox than it is a PlayStation.
Ooh,
there,
fighting words, Nella.
Fighting words. Fighting words. But anyway, so like, you know, I'm distracted. And then all of a sudden I look up and Walter Bishop's in a Monty Python cartoon. And I lost it. I lost it.
How did we get here? Very Walter moment.
My other one more thing is I love how in episode 9, Astrid's got a gun.
Astrid's got a gun.
Yeah,
Astrid knows how to use her gun.
Yes. So, again, Astrid, too good, too pure for this world. Justice for Astrid. Can't wait to find out how much money I'm donating for women of color in sciences.
Oh, we got to figure that.
I know, I got to do the count.
that actually segues pretty nicely into my one more thing, which was going to be Astrid. We didn't get to talk about Astrid, but I kind of like how in episodes 7, 8, and 9, Astrid, our MVP, just kind of gently checks in with every single character.
Yeah.
Like every single character at a moment in their central conflict gets a check-in from Astrid.
Yeah.
And it's almost like this show's version of like, who's going to go on a life-changing journey with Zuko? You know, like who's going to get a chat with Astrid that helps you have your come to Jesus moment or helps you get yourself together so that you can approach the people in your life that you love.
Gives your +2 on your next roll. No, yeah,
exactly.
I loved her. In
Bardic
these episodes.
Inspiration, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely. Oh man, what class would Astrid be? It's okay. That's a question. Tell us in the comments what class Astrid would be. I think my one more thing is
an artificer.
Probably. I feel like I would have liked her to be a little more technical, but of course that would have been the Astrid that we should have had. Would have been a lot more technical.
I mean, she's
not the Astrid we were given.
Does coding, does a lot. Like, obviously,
True.
she's well researched. You could also make her a wizard.
She does like puzzles. Anyway, we're getting distracted. My one more thing is kind of abstract, and it's the resolution of Murder Peter, which we kind of didn't get before. Because when he was murdering shapeshifters, I don't know if you remember, all of a sudden we had William Bell enter Olivia, and then we never go back to that timeline, and we never figure it out. Like, we never have a come to Jesus with him. We never have... Bell even says, like, oh, the paperwork's on my desk. We should just look at it. And we never even look at it.
No, we do not.
It's so...
Those daisy chains discs, never went back to those.
Never. Now, like, we get some weird resolution from that later on because it's like Peter, you know, because of his murder spree, knows more about the shapeshifters than arguably anyone else. So, like, he helps eventually further down the line. But, like, we never get Liv having to look at what he's done and be like, okay, we will deal with this, but we have to deal with this and you have to stop. And that's what we get here, which I really enjoyed, which was like, it's not so much, you know, I mean, we can pick and choose from it's not so much what you're doing, but what it's doing to you when it's like, you know, we spent half a season making those shapeshifters as relatable and human as possible so that it became a terrible, horrible thing. But like Windmark killed his daughter, so I guess we're chill with that. But like, you know, it's at least it's something where it's like Olivia is having to look at what he's done and confront him about what he's done. And I think that was really important for the two of them to have, which they hadn't had up until that point.
Yeah.
Again, a very abstract, like, they finally closed the loop.
Finally. It only took 5 seasons.
Took full seasons.
With not a moment to spare.
And as a little treat, we did get a tweet from someone, which I thought was very nice. This is hilarious because I've been watching Blacklist, and I'm staring at their name, and I'm like, oh no, I know how to pronounce this, but I haven't said it, so I don't remember how to say it. Oh no, I think it's Halcyon, and I'm sure I'm gonna get a bunch of tweets. It's like, that's not how you say it, but it's fine. Halcyon _S tagged us in a post on Twitter. I'm a few episodes behind on your podcast rewatching Fringe, but I ran across this article the other day and had to share it with you, especially after you reviewed the episode where Astrid met Agent Farnsworth. And it's a Medium blog post where entitled, Astrid is the real hero of Fringe. And yes, I think we can all agree.
Absolutely.
Astrid is the real hero.
This team would absolutely fall apart without her. Absolutely fall apart in a heartbeat.
She is the heart. She is the engine that keeps everything running.
True.
100%. But yes, thank you so much for sharing that with us. It was an awesome read. I enjoyed it.
Great. With that, we would love to hear from you again. Please check us out at Binge O'Clock Pod on Twitter and Facebook, where you can answer the question, what phrase would you use as a passcode in a war against the observers? You can also email us at bingeoclockpod@gmail.com. And don't forget, we have a Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/BachPod.
That's right. And tell your friends, tell your family, tell your loved ones, tell the live lobsters in your life about Binge O'Clock, and we will see you next time.
Okay, so do you want to try and guess what mine would be?
I think I do want to try and guess what yours would be.
All right.
Okay, go for it.
You're not going to get it, but I welcome the attempt. You're the ones who said we should guess what Nella's one is.
I mean, ideally, your password would be something that we couldn't guess. Like, it's not going to be anything about brassicas. Like, it cannot be.
All Hamilton had to do was say, I'm sorry. No.
No.
So many words to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry is 2 words, Hamilton. Jeez. Oh, no. No, I'm not going to come up with it. I like the brassica one, but obviously that's not it. Okay, tell us what it is.
Shall I let you know? Which now I can never use, but...
No, because now the observers will know if you put it on recording.
But...
No, because we know the observers are not going back and listening to old recordings.
Like, they don't care. All right, my passphrase would be buffalo, 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 buffalo.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, in that
case,
a very good
mine
one. Is I didn't say I hit my wife. Just all the iterations, all of them. I didn't say I hit my wife. Just all the way through.
Have to put the emphasis on the right syllable.
You have to say every version of that phrase in the correct order in order to reveal the thing.
Yes. That's how that
See,
works.
the observers would never understand it. Like, they would be like,
yes.
I feel like they would, like, stop at, like, 7 buffaloes, and then you'd be like, and they'd be like, but I said all the, and then you'd be like, it's 8 buffaloes, and they'd be like, but why would you just have 8 of the same word and be like, It doesn't mean what, no, it's not just buffalo 8 times. It has a very specific meaning. And they'd be like, I don't understand.
Yes, and without the right inflection, they would never get into the thing.
Precisely.
Very good passcodes. I love them.
I would have died if Walter had shown up and said buffalo 8 times. Absolutely died.
I mean, I a little bit wanted the show to make him say strawberries again, but fine. I'll take Black Umbrella.